Let me paint you a picture. You have just come off the most incredible sales call with a service that is going to take your business to the next level. You were so excited, they said all the right things, and you've put some money down. But then what? There's no communication. You have no idea what's going to happen next. You actually don't really know what service you've invested in, who to contact, or what to expect. This is the reality of a poor sales to onboarding process. This video is going to run through the 5 ways that you can nail your sales to onboarding service to be able to create an exceptional experience. So if you don't know me yet, I'm Bella, and working with service providers like yourself over the last 4 years to improve their customer experience and operations. This phase is something that I found that we hone in on quite a lot because it's a very, I would say, unknown and missed opportunity. The impact of getting your sales to onboarding process wrong doesn't set the best first impression. And we know it's 5 times more expensive to bring in a new client than it is to retain one. So getting this right does wonders for the rest of the journey and the rest of the engagement and reputation that you have with your clients. Sugar CRM did an impact report that, from speaking to marketing and sales leaders, 71% of the respondents said that they thought that customers were leaving them due to poor service. And 58% of organizations worldwide reported customer churn was on the increase. Now, I know and you know that first impressions make the biggest difference. Now, if we get this phase wrong, customers start to get frustrated because they don't know who to talk to. They don't know what information that you need from them or what to expect from the service itself, when they're likely to get any sort of results, when things are going to happen. They don't know what's involved, what's included, and what they're going to get out at the end. The damage of this is that, well, they can leave for one. They get frustrated, they can leave, but also as a business for you, it can damage your reputation. So I think it just shows how important it is that our reputation is everything. How many times do you go and purchase a product and you read the reviews before you actually invest in it? You're like, well, these reviews aren't really good. I'm not going to go and see this movie, or I'm not going to purchase this thing. You've actually lost money, and the money that you've spent for your time, the team's time, and any effort that you've put in existing when the customer isn't quite happy, or there's multiple revisions that need to be done because you didn't quite understand their expectations or what they were looking for throughout this process. And that seriously damages your profitability, but also impacts your bottom line. So when working with service businesses and founders on this, some of the most common things that I see are their process is too complex. So there's too many steps that need to happen along the way. Too much information needs to be extracted from clients at different points. And it's overwhelming for a client when they might be time poor and you're trying to get all this information from them at multiple times. You're then asking them for this and this and this. Well, we have to go to here. We don't know. We're using this software and this software and this software. It's when it's a lot and you're investing in something and you get lost in this sea of process and technology, and there's multiple people that you're talking to, it feels all too much. Often it comes down to a lack of a process. So there's 2 sides of that. There's too much of a process and a complete lack of a process where there's nothing going on and there's no real structure. And I was working with a client more recently where they had this exact problem. And I think one of the things that they'd said was that it's very ad hoc. We don't do the same thing twice, and we try to customize it to clients, but it means that we don't often get the right information from them, which means that we have to go back to them again and again to be able to get more in order to be able to jump into the next phase of the project or to be able to deliver the service that we're looking to deliver. Some of the other challenges that I often see are around really what are the timelines. There's no clear timeline of, now that you've purchased, here's what happens next. Within the next couple of days, we will be doing X, Y, and Z. You don't know when you're on a next call. You don't know who to reach out to. There's not really an understanding of what people are involved and who is the right person that you need to go to as a key contact. And then the only other one is on scope. You don't know what's included. There's no clear articulation of what am I going to get at the end of this. So really, if you're looking at your service journey, and something to recognize here is, what are those gaps? Do I have a clear sales to onboarding process? Do I have clear communication touch points? How clients can reach out to me, and when are we going to reach out to them? How many steps are involved in this? Are there a lot of steps, or are there too little steps? And do I need to add anything in to make sure that we have all the information that we need? And does the client have all the information that they need in order to get success from this from the start? And then how long is this going to take? What is the timeline between them purchasing and then us getting through to them their first asset or deliverable or their first meeting with us? Who's involved in that process? Who is the key contact that they need to know about or that we need to know about in order to get the most out of this service? And then what is included? Is the scope clearly outlined in order for us to feel that we are able to deliver upon their expectations and they know clearly so they're not asking for things that are out of scope? So you may be thinking like, that's great. I know where my gaps are, but I don't really know what to do to make this process more tight and more streamlined. Well, really what you can do and the shift you need to make is to be able to simplify it. Make it easier for the client and easier for yourself to have a standardized way that you are transitioning from sales to onboarding, and you're handing off that process to the right people at the right time with the right information. So the 5 ways that you can do this, and what I allude to in the start of this video to be able to nail this, is firstly, understand the steps involved. What needs to happen at what time in order for you to be able to set them up for success? What information needs to be communicated to them? And what information do you need to extract from them in order to be able to jump into the next phase? People. Who are the people that need to be involved in this? And at what point do you introduce them? So transitioning from that sales process, and for this client that I was specifically working with, and I'll jump back to their example, you had different people that did the sales process and the onboarding, which is super common for most service providers. And to be able to have that transition is, at what point do we introduce the next person and how do we introduce them? And how are they the key contact throughout? And how do we communicate that to the client? Timelines. When is each part of this process going to happen? How long can the client expect it to take? And how are we communicating that to them? Is it through things that I love to do is like create a visual graphic for the entirety of your process? And even if it's just this part of onboarding, it's showing, okay, well, the reality is our onboarding process is about 3 weeks because we need to make sure that we have the right information from you in order to be able to jump into delivery. So the first phase is a week between when you signed and our first call. This kickoff call will jump through the next stage of the process, tell you everything, who's involved, what to expect, etc. Between then, we'll then get, within the next week, we'll extract all the information that we need from you in order to start the process. After that, a week later, we will jump on our first call to jump into planning. Simple as. And what can they expect? What's included within this service? What are the results likely to be at the end? And is there anything that you need to know as a business as to what they expect from you? How do they like to be supported? Who's the key contact on their side? What have they done before that didn't really work out well for them? And how much communication do they like? These types of things that we understand in expectations can make a huge difference to being more prepared and being able to analyze risks and challenges later on, so that scope doesn't really then become an issue because we have the information that we need. And it will need to be readjusted later down the line and readdressed as challenges come up. But when you've got a clear understanding of this, the expectations at the forefront during this sales to onboarding phase, it makes that scoping process a lot faster, quicker, because you have everything that you need in order to be able to do that more accurately. And then for you as a business, what does this mean? Well, if we get this process right and we really outline what are our steps, what information, who are the people, what are the timelines, and what are the expectations and scope, we can then get faster results for our clients. When we jump into delivery, we can clearly and proactively look at what needs to happen in order to be able to get there, and what else do we need from them, or what can we do in order to be able to fast track that. It leads to more profitable services because we understand what the scope is and the expectation is. we're able to then deliver more smoothly. We have an understanding of what they have in their mind, so there's less chance of having to iterate and revise any deliverables because we've not clearly understood what the idea is that they have in their head. It improves the reputation of you as a business because you're able to provide a more exceptional, smooth experience to your clients and absolutely knock it out the park. And when they get those small touch points and you feel like you're being handheld through a process, it makes a huge difference. If you've ever been on a holiday or you've invested in something and were like, wow, I've really felt like this was just the best time I've ever had, the best experience I've ever had. There was always small details that stick in your memory as to why that was. The same can be said for your engagement with your clients. And ultimately, it saves time and headache for you as a business, where you as a founder, where you're not having to jump back in, firefight, have challenging conversations where things haven't quite gone to plan, or the team haven't quite got the quality that you're looking for, or the client hasn't received something on time. If we have a really clear structure to this process, we can outline so much of that so that there is no grey area, no ambiguity in the process. It's so clarified that you as a business and your clients have an onboard experience that just prevents all of this buyer's remorse. If you enjoyed this video, head to my channel, like and subscribe, and I look forward to bringing you more to be able to create better business experiences for you as a founder, your team, and your clients.